Let's do a quick comparison here between the Nemo Tensor and the Rapide SL from Big Agnes. These are both the regular wide versions of these sleeping pads. So let's start off with the weight. Now each of these is packed in its packaging and has its inflation bag inside here. So keep that in mind. So it weighs a little bit more than just the pad and the bag. So first up is the Nemo. This comes in at 21.4 ounces. Now is the Big Agnes Rapide SL at 26.5 ounces. Now the actual size of the bags is fairly similar. The Nemo is noticeably a little bit skinnier, but it also comes with a compression strap that you wrap around it. So this is pretty small, gotta say. Then there is the Rapide, which is slightly larger and a little bit less compressible, but I think I could actually get this a little bit smaller if I repacked it. Inside of the bag of each of these, we will open them up. Okay, here is the Nemo inflation bag. For reference, I'll weigh these bags just to see how much they weigh. That's 1.9 ounces on the Nemo bag. Then here is the actual pad itself. So it comes with this strap that goes around here so you can get it nice and tight. I almost like to have two straps, but then of course that's, I guess, extra weight. This material is just super thin, but you can kind of feel in there, it's got a little bit of insulation. Super thin material. One side's gray, one side's orange on this one. Next is the Rapide. And then here is the inflation bag, plus there is a little repair kit in here. Inflation bag for the Big Agnes Rapide is 2 ounces. Then you've got the actual pad itself. The material feels a slightly thicker than the Nemo, I would say. The Nemo is just very, very thin material. Nothing wrong with that. This just does feel a little bit thicker, a little bit more durable to me. Next up with the differences is the actual valves. So this is the Rapide. It actually has two valves. It has an in and an out valve. It's the in valve, nice and big there. Whereas the Nemo has one valve with two functions. You open the top and you can then do the in. And if you open both, it's the out. So one valve with two functions. This has two valves. All right, I'm down here ready to inflate these with the bags that they came with. I know you can get kind of aftermarket bags through other inflation devices, but I'm just gonna use what they gave in the package. So that connects there easily on the Big Agnes. This is super kind of lightweight material, but it's actually got a little bit of kind of tackiness on the inside, and I imagine that makes it so you can kind of fold it over. Now, I'm not gonna have you watch the entire time of me doing this, but kind of just fill it up with air. I'm not an expert at this at all. I know if you have some wind, it can really help, but you fill this up, roll it down, and blow it up. After you kind of get going, and you can kind of push air to the side rather than straight down, it's really not that bad. I feel like I'm almost there, and I've done, I don't know, maybe 10 of these, but there's no real effort. You're just kind of like, and you can see it's almost there. I also don't want to overinflate, because then it might not be comfortable. I always add more, or adjust it down. All right, I'd say that's done. That really wasn't too bad. Okay, so we'll remove there, and it's not leaking at all. Close that off. All right. Now is the Nemo Tensor. There are instructions right on the inflation bag. Insert the inflation bag on here. Now, their instructions say to blow air into this hole and then push it in. I really don't like the idea of putting breath into my sleeping pad. You're adding moisture, plus you're blowing air. So I'm just gonna kind of fill this up with a little bit of air, roll it. I do think having a little battery operated pump would be super nice, but I figured I'd use what they give you first, see how it goes. It does still work. It still works without blowing into this, but I really don't like this bag, I gotta say. Not a huge fan of this. I guess it's not that much different, but this small hole at the top makes it a little bit harder to fill. I'm sure there's somebody out there who's way experienced with this who's like, I'm doing it wrong. Well, I'm new to this type of pad, so that's how I'm doing it. It's definitely harder to fill this one up. All right, finally got this one blown up. Felt like it took a lot more effort than the Big Agnes. So just remove that, cover this. Now we got both sleeping pads here. And the thickness is noticeably different. Let's see. The Big Agnes looks like it's maybe an inch thicker or so, just by looking at them. It's also, Big Agnes, in terms of the noise, you can see that the Tensor is a little bit crinkly. Big Agnes, not so much. This is so much more comfortable than my old Thermarest. Wow, it's pretty insane. I mean, these are both really comfortable. I'm a side sleeper and a stomach sleeper. That's pretty comfortable. This is noticeably more comfortable. And so the other thing I'm seeing as I move around is the thickness of the Big Agnes is helpful in this regard. When you move and you're putting all your weight in one area, like on your knees, if you're in your tent doing something, or you're on your side moving, I'm not hitting the ground really like I am with this one. Okay, I would be completely happy with this, to tell you the truth, but I notice that as I move, I'm touching the ground a little bit more when I put all my weight in one area. This is a sleeping pad, so I should be sleeping on it, so maybe that's not a huge consideration, but I think that the thickness difference makes that the way that it is. But these are both really comfortable. I could put a little bit more pressure in this one, but I kind of like it softer. This one has a little bit more, and I guess you can micro adjust by pressing this button here, so I can let out some pressure. But then I like it a little bit soft like that, but I do notice that as I move, kind of hit, like if I sit up right now, my butt is on the ground. Where this one, well, this one I think is a little squishier. Could add a little bit more pressure. Like as my butt is on the ground, it just doesn't, it's more padded around it. Kind of hard to describe until you feel it. But I think it's just the thickness difference of these that makes that what it is. Well, I've not trail tested either of these pads. From this initial test between the weight difference, which is somewhat negligible unless you're a crazy ultralighter, the comfort difference seems like a pretty big difference for that weight trade-off. Plus, I feel like this Rapide is a bit quieter than the Tensor. I mean, here's the sound, and then the Rapide just, I mean, sure, you're gonna hear going against it, but it doesn't have that crinkly noise. And then also the inflation system, I much prefer of the Big Agnes. I really don't like the bag that comes with the Tensor. It took a lot more effort to get it filled up. Did not like the bag. I know you can get another kind of bag, but just what came with it, I much prefer what came with the Big Agnes. These both seem like amazing sleeping pads, but just from this initial test, I think I'm gonna stick with this Big Agnes Rapide SL regular wide.